Your Olympic hero has arrived. It's true, it's true.
You're watching Fugitive Red Eye, and welcome to another episode of Media Opinions. Today's episode is going to be a bit different because I'm going to be talking about lost media. So lost media, as the name would imply, is media that is lost. It can't be found. It doesn't exist anymore. People don't know if it exists anymore. That kind of thing. I mean, there's also a whole lost media wiki that's a pretty big community that's been around for a while at this point. There's various different types of lost media. There's not just because there's different types of media, but there's different, scales of how lost something is, right? There's stuff that's partially found, where there'll be clips of it, or screenshots, or even segments, that are pretty long of it. And there's, stuff that, there's lost dubs, there's lost entire movies. There's stuff that's lost and can never be found again, stuff that, burned up in fires and stuff like that. There's stuff that's only lost to the public because the creator doesn't want to release it. Like I said, it's a whole big rabbit hole of various different types and scale of how lost something is. I myself have dabbled in, looking into lost media stuff. I did a video about the Demon Lord Dante manga VHS, which, for all intents and purposes, for us in the English-speaking internet world, is lost media. Maybe someone in Japan has it, but I can find nothing of it online except for an old Japanese website that sold it but has been out of stock for years and only shipped to Japan, and it was a whole thing. There's also plenty of lost media that never actually existed, urban legends like A Day with SpongeBob SquarePants. I myself have always been fascinated with lost media, which is why I tend to watch a lot of YouTube channels like El Supersonic Q and All Things Lost, and I used to watch Blame It on Jorge. I haven't really watched him in a while. I've got nothing necessarily against him, I just kind of got bored of him. That said, my interest is pretty laser focused on certain things. For instance, I'm not usually interested in lost dubs unless it's an English dub. For instance, the Island of Giant Insects dub was pretty hard to find for me and Spencer for a while until we eventually did find it and watched it. And yes, Spencer, if you're watching this, the review is coming, and that is part of why we went out of our way to find that dub, is because it was borderline lost media. We finally found it, and we watched it, and that's why I want to review it. Though I did also talk about it in my last movie recap. But there's something fun about the hunt, trying to find something. And I'm not one of those ones that has, a moral opposition to things like leaks, and stuff like that, where people find it. There's some people who think that a leak, delegitimizes something being found, which I don't agree with. I definitely think that leakers can be shitty people, and I think that there can be things that are bad with leaks. And leakers that hack into people's accounts to leak shit, fuck them. They're shitty people. Fuck you if you ever did that, right? Obviously. But at the same time, I don't really believe in copyright, so you're not gonna see me, shed a tear for these big studios. If they were, leaking people's personal information and shit like that, I'd have a problem with it. But just, leaking stuff from big studios, although I wouldn't advise it, it's a bad idea because it can land you in some pretty hefty legal trouble, and I definitely think it is a stupid thing to do in some regards. I'm not, gonna morally grandstand on it like some people do. But nevertheless, there is something to be said about it being more fun to find it with the thrill of the hunt. I myself love to go out and look for things, look for obscure and rare pieces of media, both when I'm going to, pawn shops, video resale shops, and what have you, as well as randomly searching for obscure shit on eBay. Another part of the fun is sort of the mythos and legend behind some of the stuff that we're not sure if it exists, and things like that. It is curious, my fascination with lost media and wanting to find things, juxtaposed with my stubbornness and stuff when it comes to, holding on to the obscure shit I have and kind of hoarding it. I can see the sort of hypocrisy or irony there in that, but obviously, I don't feel like anyone's ever obligated to share something they have. That's another thing. But it definitely is fun to go down the thrill of the hunt. All these people who will reach out to creators or people who have things along the way within studios, people who were a part on something, or they'll find stuff on old fan VHSs and stuff like that, and that's always really fun to me. I like that hunt, and I like media preservation, and I like the mysteries and mythos of lost media as well, and sort of the Easter egg kind of feel, when you're hunting for Easter eggs and stuff. I'm also going to do a video about Bloody Gur, speaking of Easter eggs soon. That's not relevant to this, but that's another thing that is adjacent in the whole mystery aspect. But again, we'll get to that more in a later video, or like things like the Yick third ending, trying to find the legitimate means to trigger that, and stuff like that. Like, there's a certain fun to the thrill of the hunt and the mystery. And Lost Media is one of those mysteries that hasn't been ruined by, like, data miners and stuff like that. And I know it's ironic when I was saying, you know, I'm not going to grandstand about leaking, but obviously leakers are the data miners of Lost Media. But the thing that's different about that is obviously, you can only go so far with that, and a leaker's going to get in legal trouble, whereas a data miner's not. So, pretty big difference there. Again, I may have said, you know, I'm not going to morally grandstand, but don't fucking do it. You're retarded if you're going to try and leak shit from a big studio. You're gonna get sued. And hell, in some cases, you might even get criminally charged. But yeah, Lost Media is really fun. There's also, like, obscure beta builds of stuff that's out there, or, like, unaired pilots and stuff like that. It's fun that a lot of pilots have been found recently. There was those songs that people were looking for that both got found. You know, the most mysterious song, which was, Subways of the Mind by, I think they were called Fex. Point is, it's found now. And then there was that Everybody Knows That Ulterior Motives one that was from, like, a porno. And somebody finally found that one, and that was, like, part of why people couldn't find it, is because it was from some obscure porno, and it was an original song for the porno. But yeah, I'm pretty fascinated with Lost Media. I quite enjoy looking into it. Lost Media that I myself am most, like, interested in is stuff like, unaired pilots, or, like, let's get specific, the Demon Lord Dante manga VHS I've talked about before. It's one that I've done a video on. I'd love to try and see how many episodes of Dragon Ball Z that Speedy has dubbed, because everybody knows that they did a lot of the movies, but they've done some of the show too, and I have a couple episodes of the show on a VCD. I'd rip them to YouTube if I wouldn't get fucking ass-raped by copyright, so unfortunately I can't really do that because Toei. But I'm also really interested in the Harmony Gold dub and stuff like that. And, oh, the JoJo Phantom Blood movie. I really want to get that, especially since Part 1 is my favorite JoJo part, which I know is a really hot take. It's not my favorite JoJo, the character. My favorite JoJo is Jotaro, but, I'd say that Lost Media I'm not interested in is, like, lost, like, TikTok shit, or, like, lost shit for a bunch of online shit that I don't care about. There's a lot of lost YouTube videos I'm very interested in. Hell, there's even some lost videos from my channel that I deleted forever ago and didn't have backups of. There is also a subsection of Lost Media where it's, like, people who, like, you know, killed themselves on camera and stuff like that. And that's the kind of thing that it's like, that's kind of distasteful. I don't want to find that. So, you know, there's stuff like that out there, obviously. So, you know, that is part of the problem with the culture, too, is you do get this obsession where everyone thinks everything is content. So there is, like, a fine line, too. So it's a complex thing in some respects, but again, I am interested in Lost Media overall. Anyway, I think you guys get the gist of Lost Media. I like the thrill of the hunt, I like the mystery, the sort of Easter egg part of it, the community around it, the speculation. It's really fun. I like these kind of mysteries. They're much more fun than some of the darker ones. Like, darker ones can be fun, too, don't get me wrong. I like me some dark mysteries, too. I mean, granted, hell, I'm very interested in dark mysteries. I'm not going to pretend I'm not. Like, there's plenty of mysteries, but the point is, this one is a lighthearted one when you're in that kind of mood. Anyway, I've rambled on enough. I hope you guys enjoyed. This has been Fugitive Red Eye with another Media Opinions. Have a good one. Toodles.
You take forever to say nothing.
I'm gonna fucking die here, Jack!
Subscribe to Fugitive Red Eye.